Hello and welcome to the Baldwin Public Library Board meeting on Wednesday, January 17th at 7:30 in the Glass boardroom. The full board packet is available online at www.baldwinlive.org on the Friday preceding the meeting. This is an open meeting. All members of the public are invited to attend. Robert, would you please call the roll for tonight's meeting?
Karen Rock.
Here.
Danielle Rumpel.
Here.
Missy Mark.
Here.
Wendy Friedman.
Here.
Frank Faisano. Here. Jenny Wheeler.
Here.
Here.
Thanks. Let's please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wendy, could you please read the mission?
Yes, absolutely. The Baldwin Public Library in Birmingham, Michigan enriches lives by providing opportunities and resources for everyone to learn, connect, and discover.
Thanks. Our first order of business is the general public comment period. The library board values public meetings and welcomes your comments on library issues, but will not debate items not on the agenda. The board respectfully asks that comments be made as concisely as possible when a motion has been made or in the general public comment portion of the meeting. The maximum time for individual speakers should not exceed 3 minutes. Is there any general public?
Good evening, I am Ann Honhart, and I have some questions, perhaps Director Kraft can answer them for me. Last month, you mentioned that a budget was submitted for 2026, 2027, where you would be asking, I guess, to have money set aside for 3 things. One was solar panels. Okay. And the second was for collision remediation. And I couldn't hear what the third was.
It's in the board packet. Refresh the lower level.
Carpet and partitions, I believe.
Restrooms.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you. And then let's see, that's a request. Will that be discussed at any particular city commission meeting in the future or planning board?
The library board will have their budget hearing at the March meeting, March 18th. And the city commission has a Saturday at the end of April, I believe, that they do their budget hearing. And then also they approve the budget at a meeting in May or June. I don't know the exact date.
Okay, so they will, you're saying that you'll have a budget meeting on March 18th?
Yes, here for the library.
Is it a regular meeting or is that something?
It's a regular meeting, but there's a hearing included in the meeting.
Oh, okay. And then the city commission meeting, that's the budget meeting at the end of April.
Yes, I want to say it's like April 27th. If not the 27th, then the 20th. I don't have.
Yeah, 20 to 27.
Yeah.
Which Saturday? 20 through 27 on Saturday.
Okay, thank you. One last thing. When they return to the messenger to me, has anyone else would like to see it? Hasn't seen it? Messenger, that's really quite a.
I enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. Okay, Dr. Kraft, you had a chance to see it? Thank you.
Any other public comment? Our next order of business is the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion and approved by a roll call vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered as the last item under new business. First, approval of December 18th, 2023 board minutes, the approval of December 2023 vendor payments in the amount of $485,438.56, including payments in excess of $75,000, and approval of total expenses in the amount of $726,575.61.
I move to, move the consent agenda.
I second.
Is there any member of the public who would like to remove an item from the consent agenda? And Robert, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
Rob,
Yes.
Rumpel,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Paisano,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
all yes.
Thank you. Next are board reports and special announcements. President's report, a couple of things, is just that we did receive, this was addressed to Board of Directors, Baldwin Public Library. And it's just a holiday card from MCB Architects. Second, I thought the undershelf lighting, I looked at that tonight, that looks really nice. Before I had, being short, I had trouble seeing some of the titles on the top shelf, and now they're fully easy to see. And third is just thanks to the on-site supervisor who saved us from a possible water damage from frozen pipes. Does anybody else have anything, any comments to share? Then next is staff anniversaries. Danielle, could you read those?
Thanks, Karen. Our staff anniversary is today. Jacqueline Miller.
Oh,
yeah,
It really does.
Congratulations. And Carolyn Saluki, Youth Services Librarian, reached 19 years of service on January 4th. And thank you to every one of our staff members. They're amazing.
And upcoming events of interest. Jacqueline, can you tell us about those?
You know, I'm happy to. It's a really full month coming up, and we took it a little bit further into February because our meeting is a little bit later, but this Saturday we will, and I'm on page 80 of the report, we will be hosting a Books and Blankets family story time from 10:30 to 11 o'clock. That is a story time that is fun for the whole family. So we'll ask you to bring your blanket, come and join us for stories and songs. On Monday, January 22nd, we're doing a STEAM Explorers program for grades kindergarten to 3. They'll be exploring the concepts of science, technology, engineering, art, and math with hands-on activities. On Monday, the 22nd, we're also hosting an acrylic paint pouring workshop. The adult services staff who are hosting that program had such a huge response that they've decided to add a second session. So they've opened up more spots for that, so we can accommodate as many people as possible on the waiting list. So that'll be a fun, creative night here at the library. So we're excited to see how that goes.
Does that have an age?
That's for adults. This is, next up is DIY snow globes for teens. They'll be, we'll be providing all the supplies. They'll be creating their own winter wonderland inside of a snow globe on the 25th. And then on the 30th, Tammy's Tastings, Crazy for Cacao. Another huge response for this program. Tammy will do a virtual program limited to 25 connecting computers. But if you want to host a little gathering at your place and I'll share one computer, you should feel free to do that. But this will be an interesting explanation of how she's using chocolate and chocolate-oriented items to create cocktails that are not your grandmother's spiked hot cocoa as part of her description. And then it's a big chocolate month, so we'll also be welcoming Monger's Provisions, who will teach us more about chocolate on the 31st. Again, another huge response to that program. They've opened up as many spots as possible for that one to get as many people in as they can. So adult services, crafts and candy this month are really hitting it big. We have an Idea Lab class with Jeff on the 31st. He'll be explaining how you can custom design drawer organizers if you are planning to get organized in January at the beginning of the year. And he will also be conducting the grand tour of the Idea Lab on Wednesday, February 7th. This is a great opportunity for people who are not maybe as familiar with the lab as they would like to get the basics all in one session. On Thursday, February 8th, we will be hosting the civil rights movement in the 1970s and Birmingham's Cream magazine information. I believe this is in partnership with the museum. So that'll be a 7 to 8 p.m. presentation. And on the 12th, we'll be welcoming Kimmy from the Detroit Historical Society for the Negro Motorist Green Book presentation from 7 to 8 p.m. On the 13th, Dr. Richard Bell will be joining us virtually to discuss the Second Middle Passage. And on the 14th, love is in the air at the library. We'll be handing out craft packs in the youth department from 10:30 to 11:30. And on Monday, the 19th, which kicks off midwinter break week, we'll be hosting our Foodie Bash. So lots of fun things. In addition to these coming up, check out baldwinlive.org/calendar for all the fun.
Thanks, Jeff. I have a question though, the Idea Lab event.
Yeah.
Any chance they would do that on a more regular basis?
I can ask. Yeah, he's trying to offer a variety of courses and sessions and things, but also I'm sure that if anybody was interested, Jeff would just do a tour. He loves to talk about everything that's in there, but I can ask if there's the possibility of doing that a little more often. I think he's trying to do it once a quarter, so we'll see if we can.
Okay.
I'll offer it, or I'll ask him about the frequency of that one.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Next on the agenda is a review of design concepts by Wendy, Popko, for the mural in the library's cafe. So thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so this is Wendy Popko. We met, she was selected by you last month. It's already been a month.
Yeah.
Last month, for the artwork in the cafe. And Jacqueline and I met with her on December 14th and we gave her a tour of the space and then we talked about ideas. So I will let you take it away from here.
Okay.
If you can give us some more background. So she gave us 3 designs that I shared. I'm going to share my screen. The first 2 were in the board packet. And if you want to talk about this here.
Yeah, so during our meeting, we discussed the importance of the Rouge River and its role in the community. And I loved that idea, especially with the park across the street, with Marshall Frederick's sculpture, with the geese, and I thought, why not add the mallard ducks? It was my first time ever visiting that area of Birmingham. Whenever I've been here, it's either been here for the Zip Us Up program or shopping or restaurants in downtown. I didn't realize you guys had this beautiful nature area in your community. And while I was there, there were several mallard ducks, gliding in, and obviously it's not the best time to enjoy that area in the winter time, but I was inspired by the wildlife that I did see and researched on. I noticed that there are some turtles and frogs and whatnot. So anyway, so this particular image, it's colorful, but it's not, there's not a lot of colors. I didn't use my typical rainbow palette. I kept it a little more simplistic, and I broke the sections in more of a organic, wavy lines to give the feeling of like waves in the water, ripples in the water. And I thought that I could even, after I did the design work, I thought, oh, it might be a fun idea to play with the topography view of the river instead of the more controlled waves, and kind of do more of the topography view of the river and the lake as the color cutouts. So that's the one vision. And then, see, and then this one, it's, again, the mallard duck. I mean, those mallard ducks were everywhere and gliding in, and it was a cool experience. I enjoyed it. But here again, playing off of the wildlife, the fish, and, splashing up. And then the sunset that I'm more known for, is more of an open book to represent the library itself. And then the third one If we can pull it up. Is that the new one? Okay, good. Okay. This one is a different view, obviously, of the mallard ducks, but I started to play with the idea of, the wings of the mallard duck being broken into, like you can see in the far right section, it's the Marshall Fredericks sculpture that you see tone on the wing span. And then in the lower right-hand corner, you can see kind of like, it's hard to see in this one. I should have brought my
I can-
iPad.
I can't make it.
You can't make it.
Oh, I can.
Oh, you
Okay,
can.
so there's,
We'll pull it over more to the far. Thank you. You can see kind of like the ducklings, they're kind of hidden in the grass, they're there, but it's not, you know, like in your face. The focus is more like on the adult mallard ducks, and that's to represent the families that enjoy the library. And also too, if you look further to the left, we have kind of like the mama duck, and as she's flying toward the bridge, the ducks are kind of like forming, they're becoming like book pages almost as they're flying in toward the entrance of the building. And the idea is to play with the curvature of that space, the first two panels, how it curves by the door and, or entrance, I mean. And the idea is to have the ducks kind of feel like they're kind of floating into the entrance of the building. And that's just playing off of the Rouge River area. I thought perhaps during this meeting, we could discuss other options, ideas that you would like to bring into the design work, what's important to you for your library, but this is kind of like the starting point of where we can, you know, you can tell me if the colors, if you want more colors, more vibrancy, or tone in.
I was just curious, for example, on design 2, it's on page 16 in our packet. The colors on the screen are a lot different than what on here. These are more, there's more blue.
So the
So I don't
ones
know
that
which ones would really be accurate.
I totally understand. The one on the screen is more accurate to my iPad. The pieces that you have are basically just, they're color cutouts from.
Rebecca can show you what. page
Right, yeah,
16
no,
looks like.
that's, yeah, no, it's more of like what you're seeing on the screen.
Okay.
More of a tealy blue. Now, generally, when I do public art murals, I like to, I normally use like Sherwin-Williams paint, and I gather the paint chips and I share the paint chips with the client so they know exactly the color palette that I am looking at because of this type of situation. Yes.
I love them all. I love the ducks so much. And I do, especially in this design, the book Sunset also looks a lot like our logo.
It does.
So I really liked that.
Yes, yes, yes. I did notice that when I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
And I think it would be fun for the kids to kind of look for the animals that aren't as obvious, just kind of like in the library house, there's the dinosaurs in the molding and they get excited when they see them and.
Definitely like a hide and seek type, like find and seek. And again, the colors can, you know, if you like the colors of one design, but you prefer the layout of another, I can use a different color palette. But we had to start from somewhere. Yes.
What is on the far left side? Is it?
It's supposed to be a turtle.
Looks like a turtle.
Yeah.
It's a little turtle.
So cute.
Oh, the duck is landing.
Yes, so again, I've never experienced that where because I was kind of like out on that pier section. I was out, my husband was waiting for me on the shoreline, and I said, no, I gotta check this out. I walk out there, and just as I did, ducks came flying over and landed right in front of me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's gotta be in there.
So this is that Court Lake you're talking about?
Yes,
Okay.
Court Lake, and then how it goes into the Rouge River, and just kind of like that whole area.
It goes all over town too, really, in the back, like by the, where they have the farmer's
Yeah.
market. You know, it's really throughout our town.
Yeah.
And see, I never knew
It's
that.
so great. It's such a great concept, I think.
Well, Rebecca brought that up during our meeting, and I mean, over the years, so I've been a professional artist on and off for the last 28 years. And I worked for clients like in this area. I remember when Purple Bear was here on Maple, I did the murals in there when, you know, for the owners. I had stuff selling in the Elizabeth Stone Gallery when she was here. So I've been in Birmingham, but I never knew about that area. In fact, I didn't even know how to get to it. My husband and I were driving around, we didn't even know where to park, we're driving around the neighborhood, and I'm like, how could this be? How could I not know about this? This is amazing.
I love it on that level that it's connectivity too, because it connects every part of Birmingham, really.
And it does connect your park with Marshall Fredericks because he focused on the geese. And there's geese there as well, but it's like, well, there's no need to duplicate when he nailed it. Yeah. So,
And also the turtle, like Jim Miller Melberg's turtle, so they have the turtle in Shane Park, and then we have one of his sculptures over here, so that's another connection, yeah.
I really like the connection with the Rouge River. I think that was a
Yeah.
great idea. I like, the way you're going with this personally, but I can't critique it because I'm not an artist, but I do enjoy it. I did hear from somebody from the public who's very vested in the library,
okay.
and they liked too, because they like the sunrise, like with the book and so forth,
Okay.
matching. So I just wanted to make that comment that I heard from a patron.
Oh, good. That's good news.
It's very good news.
I know that when we discussed you, that everybody on the board loved your vibrant colors. So I was just wondering, how did you decide to move away from that? I'm just curious about
For some reason, I just kept gravitating toward this color palette of the teals, the oranges, and the purples. I don't know why. I don't have a reason or excuse. I just, for some reason, I kind of kept going in that direction. If there's a painting in my portfolio that your group has really been drawn to because of the colors, I can definitely take the design that you're mostly drawn to and then implement those colors, and then we can see what that looks like. I have no problems with doing that for you.
Oh, you can do that without repainting it?
So this is all on my iPad. That's the beauty of technology. I used to paint this out in wash, like I used to design custom area rugs for Star Carpet, and we would have to paint everything by hand. And it takes forever. So once I got invested in my iPad, I'm able to change things real quick and fast, and we're able to see, you know, immediately the changes instead of, oh, it's gonna take me a couple of weeks. It's like, no, I'll just tap on the screen and it flashes it. So
Would we be able to get, is there a website to go to your catalog, just?
I can email it to you.
Okay.
Go ahead. I can email it to Rebecca and she can pass it along to all of you.
It's on your website, right?
I do not share my preliminaries online.
Rebecca, what was the picture that was in our packet though, that we were all discussing, it was the one
It
with,
was, yeah, from your application, from last month.
just to give you an idea of what we were.
Well, you have some things on Instagram too.
I do, and on my Paintwood site as well. My Paintwood site is more of like my online portfolio. Instagram tends to, sometimes I will post something, like a picture of my dog and I trying to work on something.
Well, I got any more of the pieces you had done, I was skipping through those.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Is it so much fun to be able to just change the color and look at it?
It is. I'm able to experiment a lot more versus before. I mean, it's amazing how things have changed even in the last 6 years for me. You know, when I first started with my first public art piece in Sterling Heights, the Sterling Pride of the Bears, I remember that there were some changes that I needed to make. And I took photos and then painted on the photos to see the color changes as I was working on the piece. But now, yeah, the iPad is amazing with Procreate.
Oh, I see it.
Which one is it? Is it that one or?
I think it was that one with the big sun.
Yes.
Like we fell in love with that, and we just didn't want identifiable individuals.
Okay,
But we were like, oh, you know, everybody was in agreement about the color.
like that Kelly green, the lime green, the hot pink, the yellow.
It's a great pick. Great.
Okay.
Where is that? Is that out in public somewhere?
Yeah, definitely. That's in Sterling Heights.
Great.
That's on Ventimiglia's Italian Foods, which by the way, the best Italian sauce you will ever have. My personal favorite is the eggplant.
I kind of like the other colors that you
The
proposed.
softer.
Yeah.
Just seems like for the Rouge River and what we're, you know, for that concept, but.
We could test out both.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you be open to testing out both? Okay, we can do that. But Ventimiglia Mural, that one's actually augmented reality. So when you go there, there's a little QR code on the outside of the building, so you don't have to be there when they're open. You scan it, it's a free app to download. And you hold your phone up in front of the mural and it comes alive through the screen.
Cool.
And it's actually the very first one to have a video game incorporated in it. And so you pan over to the soccer players and they'll ask you, do you want to play a game? And of course you say yes. And they volley the ball towards you and you hit it on the screen and it sends it back to them. And you know, I'm terrible at it, but my kids can, you know, get the numbers up because it goes faster and, you know, and gets a little more complicated. In the beginning, it's really easy. I can't even do that, but my kids can. But yeah, in fact, we earned we received the Golden Telly Award for that. And that was done through Electrify. So if you're ever interested in learning more about augmented reality, they were a wonderful team to work with.
I think that, I love the colors here, and I love the sun. I really like I like the reeds from the grass in the first one, because that sort of mimics the outside. We're gonna have this, you know, grass thing that's gonna be right in front, and I don't know, I really like the grass
Okay, I
there.
like that too. You like how it's okay.
Sort of, you know.
How the colors down here kind of reach up into the
Sure.
orange and the orange.
Yeah, whatever, but the, you know, spikiness of it.
Oh, okay, yeah, I understand. Oh, I
it's-
see, because these are wider, lines, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure, is that that may be a splash or something there, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
it is kind of like the splash of the water with the fish.
And I just really like the grass that's, gonna be outside.
What's on the left side? Oh, I see.
So perhaps not as whimsy is what you're thinking, and more,
But are those sort of,
Yeah, they're there, yeah, right there.
well, that's a good place for them. That's beautiful.
Yeah, maybe,
but that's more of like the, you know, like the duck is landing, but perhaps on the other side, keep it, you know, not as whimsy. Tone down the whimsiness, and maybe kind of marry the two.
yeah.
Okay.
I did like the concept of the birds going into the library. I thought that was unique. I don't, you know, kind of, and I did like the Marshall Fredericks, how you orchestrated in that third.
I
guy.
it's like huge.
And I like the ducklings.
Yeah,
They're cute.
How
yeah.
did you come up with the concept so quickly though? Like
She's an
that's-
artist.
I know,
Oh,
but you know, look at how much
yeah,
detail is in it, and
very good.
I appreciate that. Actually, I draw on my experience as being a published children's book illustrator as well, so it's storytelling, visual.
Yeah, it's really great.
So I'm glad that you enjoyed it. So I think so my orders are to pump up the color, the vibrancy, correct? More of my rainbow
No, I
color.
was just telling you I was asking you how you consider these. It's up to everyone. I mean, I'm happy with these colors too. I like them much better on the screen than they look printed.
Yeah, the print is,
Here it looks a little drab, but there it looks very vibrant and alive.
yeah, so
That's,
now, color printers are
Yes, oh, I know.
weird, you know, each one is different. You'll have 3 different color printers and you'll have 3 different outcomes.
exactly.
That's why but that, being digital art too, it is going to be more vibrant because you have the light element to it, right? Because of the screen.
Absolutely.
That's why it's important to pull the palette colors,
Right.
the paint chip colors, and show them to you, physically show them to you,
Right.
so that you can see and say, okay, this is,
Mhm.
this is close to what we're seeing. It's not the exact, but it's very close. This is what we're getting. That way we're on the same page.
I just wanted to show you what our front entry will look like. So the grass is
There's the
here.
grass.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see what
so it kind of would kind of match seeing that in the background too.
I see.
But I don't know, don't you like the art standing out a little, or you like it?
Rebecca, do you have a picture
Yeah.
of Marshall Frederick's sculpture that we have too?
So, I'm sorry.
I said we also have a Marshall Frederick sculpture.
Oh.
The RAM.
The RAM.
The RAM.
And so we know about that.
Yeah.
Yes, I do, but I didn't,
I mean, it doesn't fit with the document.
not with the Rouge River. I love that, but it's not, I think with the geese, I was able to
Sure.
make it all kind of connect.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is take your, suggestion and try the vibrant colors in one of the designs, and then you guys can compare the 2. Add the grass element to the one, and then you guys can vote. Because I like all 3, and this is your library, and you're the trustees.
Are we tripping you up on time or anything?
No, not at all.
Do you have plans to finish this by? when
It's
are you
May
thinking?
18th, isn't it, that I have to be installed by? Yes. We'll get it together.
Do you do the installation or do we?
I'm going to have to recruit some help for the installation. We need to decide on what's the best way to install this piece. We've been, Rebecca and I talked about the possibility of gluing it onto the glass. Possibly talking to your builder about screws in the frame and rivets placed in the canvas and then tied to it.
Okay.
I know David Bloom had mentioned that he would love to see, artwork to, go over it temporarily for a temporary, okay. There are many options. So that's another thing that we would need to figure out, but for gluing it up there, going off of my experience of the weight of canvas and whatnot, I would probably have 1 or 2 people helping me start with the center, because you want it to all line up.
Right.
And you start with the center, the upper one would be the bottom and then move up, and then the lower ones start at the top and move down, and then do your side panels, because if you start at the left side, it's gonna be off on the far right.
Right.
So we gotta start in the center for
Makes
installing
sense.
because of the layout.
Wendy, do you paint it all yourself, or?
Yes,
Wow.
I'm a solo pro.
I read about some muralists that had actually kids helping paint it, but it wasn't anything this elaborate.
Okay, so there was
And I think it was a library, but,
Actually, that was probably the Sterling Heights Public Library.
oh,
I am a trustee on the Sterling Heights Public Library. I'm also co-chair of the Sterling Heights Art Commission. And the director, Tammy, had approached me about doing a mural for the library. She says, oh, I believe we need a Popko painting in our library as well. And I said, oh, I agree. Unfortunately, because I serve as a trustee on that board, that is a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
So I donated my services as a designer. I designed a mandala pattern, and we were having some issues in our team room. And my vision was to encourage those students to take more of an interest in our library and to take part in our summer reading program. And so my idea was they had to read at least one book to participate in my program. I drew it out and I had the colors all set up and I had it to the side like a blueprint. And the kids had to, once they qualified, they signed up for a time slot. I had the paints all out and they had to mix and match of what they thought my blueprint read. And they installed the mural section by section in one day.
wow.
So that
What
was,
a great idea.
that was an interesting program. So I hope you visit my library. I love my library. And you'll notice that there are certain sections that don't have as many gradations of green or whatnot, because the child did not see that there were 2 or 3 different shades of green for that area. But I left it up to them. They were the artist and I was their director. So yes, that is true. I did do that for that, but I don't really, have that in my, it's in my portfolio and it is mentioned, but when I paint a mural, I paint the mural. So, like I just did in Detroit, in the Dexter area.
Did you want to share any of your artwork that you brought?
That was with the glued papers. I didn't know if you guys really wanted to do that. There's no need then, so it's all good.
We really appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you for having me. This is good.
And you're a library trustee, how appropriate.
Really?
I've only served for a couple years. I was appointed for our trustees were appointed. We are not voted in like your community. And so, yeah, and then I've been an arts commissioner since I installed that first public art mural in my community. I was appointed by my city council, so I've stayed on for several years. I enjoy it.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So Rebecca, do we have a time or date when we have to get back to Wendy or?
So tonight, I just want to make sure that you all agree on what you're directing her to do. So design 2, is that that's okay. So design 2.
Wow.
With some more grass. Share the paint tips, that you're gonna use. What else?
Well, I think we need to, I'm going to duplicate one of the designs in the rainbow palette.
Okay,
And so I'm assuming that it is design number 2.
yes.
Okay. And that way you can compare the 2 and see which ones you gravitate toward. And then from there, I'll pull and I can pull the paint, the paint chips.
Okay.
Sorry, the paint chips for both.
Okay.
And then, yeah, and then you can go from there. So design 3 is completely out, or are we still?
Let me share that one more time.
They're all so good.
Oh, they are. You can always vote. So I'll make the changes, the adjustments, and I can even pump up the color on this one too.
Do you want to give us Does, everybody's good with 2, or do you like 3 too, or did you don't?
I'm just
okay.
saying that.
So, okay,
Mhm.
yeah,
I
okay.
like the colors, but it's too much of the geese that takes over and
Okay.
I don't see
Well, the other one's a bit more cheerful too, I think.
yeah,
Mhm.
and the sun,
I love that.
the sun.
You love the bunch.
sort
I
of
love that. I love that.
complements our brand new logo.
That is true.
I have to say, I love this blue.
Yeah.
The
Yes, I
blues
love
on
the
the
colors
swing
are
here.
great.
Okay.
Mhm.
All of
Sounds like
those
an
colors.
indigo.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that color too. Yeah.
So will you just send it to Rebecca and then
Yeah.
we can probably, to be expeditious, we shouldn't wait till the end of February. Because our meeting next month is February 26th, so getting kind of late, I'm thinking, I'm just.
No, I appreciate that, definitely.
And we can do it before the next meeting, if you send it out, or no?
I think that you should, give me the final say in it, and then if you wanna go that route, or else then you should all have a meeting together to approve it in person together.
Do we have a special meeting?
Yeah,
So you're saying the final say without seeing it or we'll see?
you'll
it?
see it,
Okay.
and then I'll have the final say.
Finding a special meeting might be a little hard.
Yeah,
You got school break, I'm taking a vacation prior to the school break, so
Okay,
it seems like somebody would be always gone.
okay.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
fine with your triangle approval.
but you'll all see it,
Okay.
and you'll see the colors in person.
That's good.
I'm so excited.
Yeah,
Nice job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks, Wendy.
So if you have any questions or anything, please reach out.
Thanks for coming tonight.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you again.
Stay on PC.
Thank you. Bye, Wendy, thank you.
Just a procedural question, do you need to vote on anything, or?
Yeah, I would. There's a suggested board action on page 17.
I can make a motion to select design 2 or design 3 with the following adjustments: to see a version in the rainbow palette and to have a version with the increased grass. And to have Wendy Popko move forward with creating the final design for the artwork, to have Rebecca make the final decision.
I don't know if we should say design 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think we said 2.
Does anybody,
Design.
yeah.
Okay, the motion to select design number 2, the following adjustments: rainbow palette, to see the rainbow palette, the increased grass, have Wendy Popko move forward with creating the final design for the artwork with Rebecca's final approval.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Okay.
Oh, there needs to be public comment.
Oh.
Whoops.
Sorry.
You wanna wait?
Do you have any public comment?
Mark, any public comment?
Mark, you,
On our design.
Put it over.
On the design.
This
Yeah,
is public comment on what we just discussed,
Oh.
the design, if you have any.
Oh, Barry, do you?
I'm sorry.
Do you have any public comment that you want to make on what we just discussed?
With regard to the art?
Yes.
Only that I thought you had a really good choice in terms of the second piece. I thought there was a lot of thought in the third piece, but that made it a little bit less intuitive. And I felt that the middle one, the whole together better.
Thank you.
thank you.
Do you want to do the motion just so he knows what we decided, or? Hey, I think it was out of the room.
Would you like to hear our motion?
I don't know. I don't know.
You're being so very generous.
We made a motion to select design number 2, with the following adjustments: to see it in a rainbow palette version, to see it with increased grass, and to have Wendy move forward with creating the final design for the artwork, and to have Rebecca make the final decision.
I guess I would say, from what I understood, people were walking past this. I'm close.
Mhm.
And then will they also be able to see this farther away? Yeah. And that's a consideration, I think. You know, once you see it close, may not hold together as well, or be as attractive farther away, but it shows up. I think some pieces will look like both ways, but it's just something to keep in mind.
That's of the.
Yeah, it's right,
Right.
Mhm.
so you can even see it outside.
That's right.
If you walk up, close if you want.
So
It's where the new ramp is, where the windows used to
when
be.
you're in the cafe, can you see it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I could be wrong, but you know, maybe something simpler, if you're gonna see it from a distance, would be more readable than something with a lot of elements.
That's a good point.
Mhm, that is a good
Distance, it would
point.
look just like a design, so you might not see that it's a turtle or something, but you would see the colors in it.
That's,
Yeah.
that's good food for thought, though. In terms of the
But thank you.
colors.
Thanks for you. Okay, so moving on to board and committee reports. Missy, can you report on outreach?
Yes.
Page
Love
23.
to. The outreach committee met on Thursday, January 11th, in the Lost Boardroom. President was Wendy Friedman, Ms. Mark, Rebecca Kraft, and Jacqueline Miller. Under new business, we talked about, and we had done this previously, a few years ago. There was a comment about expanding the Battle of Brooks program to include private and parochial schools. And Jacqueline said she would ask Plymouth about evaluating interest from additional schools. It did not seem to entice the other schools before, but it's been a while, so it's time to ask again and see if, they might be interested. Times change. Then, in order to reach out to nonprofits, which is part of our huge list of organizations that we developed, it was suggested that we have a nonprofit organization fair. And we picked April 12th of next year. We wanted it to be in the spring to hopefully have wonderful weather where we can open the doors, everybody's happy. It's going to be in the cafe in sort of a circular area with tables around. And we have 10 to 20, roughly, nonprofits from the area to come and bring their promotional material, and they put it around the room, and then say, depending on the number, 3 to 4 people would give a quick 5-minute in-depth, promo on what they do and what they have to offer for volunteers. And this being held in April, sort of before people make decisions on what they're doing for the summer, because we're hoping to get some of the, teens and whatever, and maybe parents or, I have sent, and she received it, a list of potential nonprofits. And I tried to, there's none that I could find that are really, totally here in Birmingham, but there's certainly a lot. And there's a lot that are in this regional community area that we all know. So if you personally have any, one that you would like to be included in this, we're way ahead of the schedule on this, so we got plenty of time. But Jacqueline is the person that you should tell. I think I came up with like 12 or 13 names or whatever, but I tried to include places that covered all aspects of nonprofits. So that's that. Then we talked about trying to attend more retail and civic meetings. And there was a little bit of a misunderstanding there. That was not just to go to more places, it was to delve into our list more thoroughly. So they know we're coming to them and we're interested in what they're doing and we hope they're interested in what we do. So I want it to be reciprocal, not just, use our stuff. So, and Wendy, being new to the committee, was given a preview of the existing spreadsheet. And we have our next meeting coming up in February, so we can talk further about that. Swag order, when we go to places and, things, it's always nice to have a little, especially since we finally have our new logo. We're going through the push to get letterhead and I forgot mine, but, all kinds of stuff with our logo on it. So we're going to be ordering a whole bunch of stuff that we can be doing giveaways with that. New packets, new resident packets. It's always nice when you're brand new. I remember moving into a city, didn't know anything, and they brought on this little welcome basket, and they had, this is where you go shopping, this is what happens here, there's a wire, and it's really helpful. So we already have it in Birmingham, but we're going to be providing that as handouts to Bingham Farms and Beverly Hills for their inclusion to new residents. Speaker series, if you have any suggestions, otherwise we will be talking to, or Jacqueline, I don't know if you already did, with H, see if they can contact or request for mental health and well-being programming that might come up. That seems to be a big issue these days. And then for a potential fundraiser, there was discussion, Wendy has in the past been a successful fundraiser, and she was talking about having a large event with a live auction and short speech about our mission. You can read the items here, but the auction would be 3 or 4 items of interest that are priceless. For example, vacation, home vacations, dinner party with a chef, lunch with a leader, and then this would facilitate group bidding and generous donations. So she's working on that. Don't put any more in there, but that's just to let you know we're trying to come up with things. We're going to be pretty low, although we haven't clearly roadmap to coming back up, but just thinking ahead. And then old business, we are still doing deliveries to all seasons. We do the book club, and I and Danielle have been taking books down once a month for their book club, and then picking them up, bringing them back, and doing that. And Wendy is going to join forces in our group. The next outreach committee meeting will be on February 8th at 1 o'clock. You have questions?
Yes, if we have any ideas of nonprofits,
Yeah.
would we give them to you now or to Rebecca or Jacqueline or?
Jacqueline.
Okay.
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah, our own neighborhood, Portland neighborhood,
yeah.
I have discovered there is somebody who passes out welcome baskets when they find out somebody new has moved in, so.
Yeah, I'm on that committee.
Oh, you're on that committee?
Where the ones that you get this big thing of chocolate at the bottom.
You're not Portland Lake.
No. Sorry.
Oh, I'm on,
But that's great.
yeah. So, yeah, that's it. If anybody has.
Well, the other comment just as far as potential fundraiser, first, I think you need to know that you have a purpose.
Right.
And second, that you have to be real careful that you don't want to raise too much.
Right.
Because you're main source of fund is taxes, and it would be a shame for taxpayers to say, oh, why do we need to support the library? They get plenty of money from all their fundraisers they do. So just to keep that in mind.
Right.
Are we planning on a Books and Bites this year, or is that gonna be, or am I jumping the gun, or?
We're thinking about it. But it's been a very busy year,
Okay,
so we need to think, to make sure we have enough
Okay.
people interested, a good date. So
okay,
Jacqueline and I are exploring that.
okay.
See, officially, kind of public, it's the question now.
Sure.
You mentioned something about reaching out to newcomers.
Yeah.
Well, as a matter of fact, I happened to be walking on Oak Street and a family had just moved in. And my gal said that she had had someone drop off a packet of things. And we started talking about that, and she said her daughter was an avid reader and she wanted to get her connected with something. And so I mentioned the library, and then I remembered that you had an advertisement for someone, a student, to sit on this board.
Yeah.
But this child is 13, and I don't know if you have engaged in it.
Yeah, that was for high school juniors. We do have a summer program called Baldwin Boosters. And it's for students, elementary, middle, and early high school. And they can sign up and volunteer at our summer reading programs to help. So it's more structured. We have about 30 students that volunteer in the summer. So that's an option. And then our teen librarian also works with volunteers. So
Call it Buddy Boosters.
Baldwin Boosters.
Oh, Boosters.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Do they advertise that in the schools for this?
They do for summer reading, yeah.
Sheet on it, I could jump it off, or it says.
No, it's not, it won't be ready until, our summer reading program before that starts. So they'll be going to their school to talk about it. So they should hear about that.
What school is she at? What school is she at?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, just curious.
Did that go out to the private schools too? So that in case
We
they,
go to all BPS schools. I know Elizabeth goes to Cranbrook.
okay, so.
Yeah.
Cranbrook, okay.
Okay, the next committee report was just finance. The next meeting of the finance committee will be held on Monday, February 12th at 4. And then policy, the next policy meeting of the policy committee will be on Tuesday, January 30th at 1 p.m. And next is the library report by Rebecca and Zach.
Okay, I'm gonna start with you on page 26, with the statistical dashboard. This is the time in the quarter where we look at our on-target, cautionary, and off-target evaluations of how things are going. And this quarter, things are going pretty well. We have just the one category in the cautionary area, which is just slightly beneath the goal at 0.1% to 3% below. And that is in our e-newsletter subscribers, and that varies every month. So we have people signing up and people unsubscribing. So this time we're down 25 from the month before, but we're still sending them to 10,900 people. So it's pretty good. But everything else is where we would like it or better. So that's great news, including the number of visitors, which remains higher than we anticipated, despite it being a little bit weird to get in the building. So that's great. So
I think you've done a great job with the access to the building through the youth room. It's worked out really well.
yeah.
I don't know if you feel that way, but I.
No,
I feel
it's, yeah, it's been, I think, once people figured out where that door was, I don't think we've had any concerns about getting inside. We'll be delighted though, I think, when the ramp and stairs are indoors and protected. So, yeah, go ahead.
Leave this, I had.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quickly. Database sessions are 56% higher this quarter. So I'm wondering, I know you've been, or maybe you're in the process right now, reviewing the databases. Is that because, do you think you have new ones or whatever? That's quite a spike.
I think it's probably a combination of two things. Number one, we're working harder to promote them.
Okay.
You know, where the youth staff are doing their ads, we're making it part of our regular social media promotion. They sometimes make the newsletter if we've got space for them. So, I think it's probably a combination of that and people, checking out the website before they come in. In case it's a little bit inconvenient for them to get here. So, yeah, I'd like to believe it's because we're promoting them so well, but, it's probably a combination of those things. So, but yeah, yeah, and we will talk about the ones we reviewed for the year in a second, but is there any other questions about the stats? Okay, so things are good. Moving on to programs and services, we kicked off our 25 books in 52 weeks reading challenge on January 1st. You may or may not have seen the recent infographic posted in the newspaper about how many books the average American adult is reading. And so it's not that many. And so our goal here is to encourage participants to read 25 books in whatever format appeals to them. So if we can help you find an audiobook, an ebook, comic book, a graphic novel, whatever it is, we're happy to help you locate those along the way. And they will be earning fun badges in Beanstack as they complete that challenge over the course of the year. You can log your books all the way to December 31st. So if you want to participate, have at it. And I don't think there'll be anything stopping you from double dipping on those challenges during summer reading. So think ahead. We're back to distributing COVID-19 at-home tests that we're receiving from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. They send us whatever supply they can spare, and they are disappearing fast. So we're never 100% sure after we order them what the days of delivery are going to be, and we don't know how long they're going to last or how many we're going to get, but visitors have expressed their thanks for the opportunity to get those boxes. And we're asking people to limit their take to 1 or 2 so that we can get them to as many households as possible. And right now we're out again. So sorry if you were looking for one of those. So talking about the databases, just this week, we have introduced Press Reader to our electronic magazine and newspaper collection. This is in addition to the hundreds of choices that are available through Libby and Overdrive. This resource offers access to an additional selection of periodicals, including restoring online access to The Economist, which last year the publisher removed from Libby. And we had lots of disappointed people who, they could still come in and look at the print version, but the online version was not available and is only available now online through Press Reader. So we're pleased to be able to offer that as a solution now.
I can't find it.
Okay, we can talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Additionally, we are going to be adding the American Sign Language component to our Mango Languages service. That's the language learning resource we offer. That's new for them this year, so we'll be adding that to our offerings there. And we renewed the ones you see here, lots of Gale resources, including courses, books and authors, biographies and context, legal forms, world and US history and context. And we just renewed our online access to the Wall Street Journal. A couple that we did not renew this year after careful consideration were LinkedIn Learning, which is formerly lynda.com. We've been actively promoting that resource, and our patron usage just is not reflecting our effort in trying to get people to use it. So that one we opted not to renew this month. And our subscription to the Oakland Press has been canceled. And that is basically due to issues with inconsistent delivery. We weren't getting the newspaper when we were supposed to be. And so that resulted in a cancellation of that subscription.
Can I ask you another question? Do you want me to wait?
No, go ahead.
I, of course, just started a class on LinkedIn Learning, so I was pumped to read that. It's expensive, isn't it? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm probably like the only one. The Oakland Press, I was gonna say, it occurred to me, we don't really have any newspapers anymore in this area, except unless it's once a month or whatever. So I wondered, do we do anything? I think we get now at home 4 local magazines. Birmingham, Horton, whatever. Stroll, we get Scene, we have 4 of them. I wondered, is there any way we could, they're doing, things like recipes. Is there anything, way we could maybe contact them and see if we can get something in there? Because we don't have any.
I will say that, I mean, it's just a person, I tried to get vehicle rest to my house and I didn't get it. So I think that
I think they're moving to an online subscription-based reader.
Yeah.
Because I did the same thing and I paid for it and it never came to my house and they keep calling me to renew. I'm like, it never gets delivered. But you go online and so read articles, you have to be subscriber only.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's the direction a lot of the newspapers are going.
Mm-hmm.
Pay and read it online.
Right.
I can ask our periodicals person, the person who manages those, to talk into what's available locally.
To see if we can, call and put an article in once a month with them.
There is one publication that I get that highlights a family and I think,
Yeah.
and so forth.
Yeah.
And they always show what's going on at our library. Just if you haven't noticed, but it shows.
This is the Birmingham, is it Birmingham
Or
magazine?
C.
Maybe Birmingham.
S-E-E-N.
But they have a focus on an individual in the community that's doing good, and then they do have things that are going on at our library. And do they contact you or they just?
I happen to be someone who was on the cover of that
Right, yeah, okay.
about a year ago. They did reach out to me, but everything else, they don't reach out, so.
But if you get it, you'll see what's happening at the Baldwin Public Library.
Birmingham magazine.
It's like Birmingham, B something.
Yeah, it's paid for by, people in different industries. You have one realtor, one, builder maybe, and they advertise and get it to each house.
Yeah.
So we will take a look at what is still available locally in print, but it was not a decision anyone made lightly, but because we're not getting it, we don't want to have a place on the shelf that's empty and not look like we're not offering. So we will keep you apprised if anything of that changes. And on page 29, you can see a photo of the Friends Bookshop with the undershelf lighting that's been added to complete that phase 3 renovation in the area. And you heard straight from Karen that it's easier to browse there, so that's great. Additionally, the DVD collection will be changing part of the name of that collection from the foreign DVDs to the international DVDs to better reflect the content and makers of those stones.
I'm gonna take over on page 30. Our new youth librarian, Josh Campow, he has joined our IDEA task force. And so he joined us for our first meeting with him last week. And then we selected books for our upcoming staff book club. In March, we'll be reading Binti by Nettie Okorafor. And then in June, we'll be reading Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. And then we also had a Project Ready meeting with the youth department today. And we've been meeting monthly to discuss that. And then going on to community outreach. So we were a drop-off spot for the Birmingham Fire Department Toys for Tots, and they had to pick up toys 4 or 5 times. So we filled up those boxes very quickly. So they were happy for that, and they're going to use us as a stop next year. We're continuing to take the ad hoc aging in place community surveys. So if you have those or want to fill them out, you can take those here. I will be attending the long-range planning meeting this Saturday. I'm scheduled to talk at 1 o'clock, I believe, but that's very flexible. But you can read my presentation on pages 82 to 88 of this board packet. And this is not in the notes, but this Friday I'll be attending a Detroit Suburban Library Roundtable meeting with directors. So I'll be at the Grosse Pointe Library Central Branch. They just had an extensive renovation, so I'll be able to see that in person and also view their Library of Things collection there. Mark Lyles is going to give our update on the Friends. And then I'll skip to page 32. We had an all-staff meeting on December 19th, and we're having another one Tuesday, January 23rd. So we meet monthly with staff. We record that meeting, so if you can't attend, you can view it. Excuse me, after the fact. And then at the bottom of page 32, we did receive a $1,000 grant from the Women's Home and Garden Association Bloomfield Hills chapter. So Robert and I will be planting more pollinators on the Southwest Garden this spring. So keep an eye on that.
And then on page 33, it's also time for your quarterly strategic plan update. You can see that our goal champions have been hard at work, hitting some of these action items and meeting these goals. I'm not gonna read all of these to you, but some of the big ones, under our strategic goal 1 for adapting programs and services, we recently upgraded our public Wi-Fi. And that is building wide now, so it's, it should keep us up to date for quite a while going forward. We continue to work with the Beverly Hills Lions Club on Project KidSite. So they come every month to conduct free vision screenings for kids. You can see that we had several opportunities to do outreach to schools, and in the community at Wintermarkt, we hosted the Kinderhouse Craft. We're offering feedback forms at Books Unboxed, and the youth department continues to run their story times on a regular basis with the ticketing system to make sure that the story times are full. We are making collections a little bit easier to browse. You can see that under strategic goal 1, letter B, with new labels and separating things out so they're easier for people to find. We talked about the creating monthly social media posts to promote databases. Adult is going to be providing triannual substitute librarian training and refreshers to make sure everyone is up to date on resources to help maintain our technology support for guests who are coming in. We added some people to our IT team, which resulted in full coverage as of December 2023, which is great news. The things that you see highlighted in the lighter blue color are things that are pretty much, if they're complete, in that they're not necessarily ongoing. They're things that we have completed in this cycle of the plan. And then the Idea Lab staff created, as part of an accessibility effort, new plexiglass covers for the periodicals with new labels and new knobs, so that the plexiglass covers will make sure that the periodicals stay upright so you can see what they are, and the knobs will make it easier for people to lift up the covers to be able to get to those. And we added a Google form to the staff intranet. The Idea Task Force has done so in order to take more feedback from all staff and suggestions on what they would like to see the task force work on. We had 30 staff members participate in restorative justice training in October, and staff who attended the PLA conference, or we have staff who will be attending PLA in April, and people who attended the MLA conference in October. And further down under the outreach, you can see that we had a couple more events outside of the schools. We did the Village Club speed dating. We continue to partner with Next, and we've scheduled our nonprofit fair. We went to the Halloween Hoot, and we continue to hold our meetings monthly. Flipping over to page 38. We are still working on additional cross-training opportunities so people can see what's going on in other departments, how they might be able to collaborate and work together. So we're pleased with that opportunity for everyone. And going down toward the end under the financial goals, Rebecca is regularly reviewing journals and updates and trends to make sure that we are on track. So you can read them all in great detail on those pages, but our goal champions have been hard at work making sure that we're meeting those action items and goals. So we're at this quarter.
Thank you.
Now we have liaisons report from Friends of Baldwin Public Library.
Behind your back.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mark Lyles. I'm reporting from the Friends Board. We're happy to have been able to give $21,630 for the wish list.
Wonderful.
To support
Thank you.
the programs for the families and the children in the community. And we do that by selling books. We have a book sale coming up May 3rd, the weekend of May 3rd. And the weekend of October 25th. And posters and bookmarks will be ready by early February. circulated and running. We last month, made $1,100 from our bookshop. And, we have some growing pains. We have a lot of books, but the same people are doing all the work. So we're expanding to get volunteers, and we're siphoning them into a training program. So they're just not left on their own. And we have training coming up February 6th at 10 a.m. here downstairs. Basically, that's my report.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
going to leave now.
Okay.
Thanks.
Take care.
To see familiar faces and to see
Thank
new faces.
you.
Bye, Mark. Friends for the 21,000.
One other thing I want to mention, they're also going to start 4th Saturday sales. So they're going to do sales from 10 to 2 on February 24th, March 23rd, June 22nd, and July 27th. Those are coming up. So they have a sale almost every month.
Are we still getting a lot of books being dropped off?
We are, yes.
Good. And collection getting, is good books in the, you're gonna get good? Yeah. Fantastic.
Make some room.
Yeah.
Other liaison reports.
Sorry.
Sorry.
May I make a comment? Sure. Well, I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I was looking at the beautiful new bookstore that you have for the recycling books. And I was looking for the paperbacks, and I saw that they were on the very, very bottom. And I thought they were pretty hard to see, I don't know how much you do, but maybe they're gonna be rearranging these. So maybe it's hardbacks on the top, and the very bottom 2 rows, I think, are paperbacks. And I think a lot of adults might find it difficult. In the past, I was going through the tables and then you had bins and it was vertical and it was all pretty much waist high. We were looking at books before. So that is a little difficult, I would say.
Yeah, the bottom 2 rows are actually teen and children's books.
Oh,
Those are the paper books. So the paper books for adults are at eye height, on the second or third shelf from the bottom, from the top. So there's a small collection. They're focusing on hardcovers because those sell better up at the sale there. But I'll pass it along that they want, that people would like to see more paperbacks.
possibly. I just, my opinion, my observation. I know that in the past, we've had those sales, I bought children's books and enjoyed looking through them to pick out something to send some of these children. So, but anyway, it was just, I was trying to get accustomed to the new way of displaying them. We're all beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks for the comment.
Sure.
And next is the report from Beverly Hills. And Bloomfield Hills. And Bingham Farms. Okay, then we'll move on to phase 3, the renovation update by Rebecca.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Hold on just a second. Okay, they're making lots of progress, but it's not all visible. It's not like major things like, new walls and, new concrete. But they're working on electrical in the ceiling framing. It's the boring but important stuff that they're doing right now. So I'll go through photos here. So they poured the concrete, for the terrace. They poured it on December 15th. So there's 2 colors of concrete. So this is the dark gray going in here. They're working on the ceiling framing. The framers, if they hear that I say it's boring, I have to mention that they have like a full 360-degree circle here and curved here. So that's very, very detailed, intricate work. So they're working on that. These are actually, if you're familiar with the building before, these are the giant columns that we used to have to walk around that you couldn't even fit around. So now they're like 8 inches. That's what was holding up the roof before. So those will be featured in the new design. And here is the new front walkway with the bike rack right adjacent to it. More ceiling, the lighted columns up here. This is the second color of the outdoor patio, the lighter colored, I don't remember, chamois or suede, it's a suede color. And then you can kind of see these 3 squares here, those are for the trees that will be going in. And then I'll keep going. So here's the front walkway here. You can kind of see the pipes going for the heated sidewalk and heated vestibule in there. And then this is going to be the book drop area over to the right. And then this is the former vestibule. They had to fill in some holes. They've smoothed it out. It doesn't look that lumpy right now. And then this is kind of interesting. So they poured the concrete and they flattened it. And then they came back with this specialty roller, which basically pushed all the aggregate and the concrete lower, so that the top will be very smooth and even finish. So sometimes, like when you grind down a sidewalk, you might see them around town, you see lots of big rocks in it. So this tool pushed the big rocks lower so that the top all has a nice, pretty uniform surface. So that's what they're doing there.
Interesting technology.
And then this is a planter going in, and then as they're smoothing out the walkway there. And then they use a special concrete truck that had usually a concrete truck that you might see like pouring a road. It's just like a big slide down to the road. They had to use this special pump truck. And so it's basically like they can pump out like super small amounts of concrete, so they're not so they can make it detailed, and they can feed it underneath the roof and get it on the ramp. And so they're not pouring too much at one time, so it's not creating like an avalanche. So it's very detail oriented. So this is a special truck that we got.
I think it's a boom.
Yeah. Yeah, it's intense. So
Yeah.
the van goes down Merrill's here for it. And then this is the new front door with plywood on it. And then this is the bookshop return here. And then a view of the ramp here and the vestibule. This is the elevator doorway here with the yellow gate. And then Wendy's artwork is going to be going up here. And then this is a view of the new terrace again, the 3 tree holes. And this is the planter where the Marshall Fredericks Ram will go. And then these will be benches, like built-in benches all along here.
Looks so big.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
And then the roof, they had to do some special rerouting of this roof drain. But they made it so that they didn't pop out into this curved area, which would have been a travesty, I think. Yeah, and then we had, let me just go back up here. There's a couple expenses for the, I slipped 2 expenses into the contingency, and those are for the Friends, to paint their room for $762 and to put carpet that we already have existing to install that. So it's about $2,000 to help with their refresh. But our contingency is at $47,744 there.
Do we know if the 22.5, do we know how firm that is yet?
It's a not to exceed, so they're doing their best to get under that amount. They do have a meeting coming up with the structural engineer, PCI Daily, and the limestone contractor. So, and once they have that meeting, they should be able to get it installed within 3 weeks. So we'll have a better idea of price. And then today's meeting, Frank came to the meeting today. He enjoyed it, so I was thinking if we want to set up a schedule, so each one board member can come to the meeting. It's at 11 o'clock on Wednesdays, so if you're interested in that, let me know and I'll fit you into an upcoming schedule. We meet in here, we go over the updates, and then we take a tour of the spot. So Frank got to do that today.
Yeah, I think after our last meeting with the 22,500 got me a little anxious with the contingency and so forth. I asked Rebecca to reach out to MCD and PCI Daily to possibly do just the State of the Union, come and talk to us about how the project's going, how it's going, because every meeting it seemed like there might be something getting hit against the contingency. And I was very concerned where we are right now, and I want to try to stay on budget. It's important, I think, with all the phases. I was very pleasantly surprised today with the meeting. They're working very well together. The design from MCD is very intricate, and Daly's never really dealt with the different colors of cement and everything that they're doing, so they're learning a lot. And I thought it was a great meeting just to hear how the progress is going and how they think, like this. I asked Steve from MCD, how did the cement come out? Are you happy with the color? Because it's different than the granite in Shane Park, and he's trying to connect that, and he felt it looks good, it's gonna be fine. And so it really set my ease to know that they're working very cohesively. They're fantastic to work with. They came while we were there today. Inside, there was an option of having an indoor book drop that they thought was there, that we didn't think was there, that they're gonna do, and that's a bonus for us. So they're really thinking outside the box and making this project fantastic for our residents and our contract community. So I really appreciate the opportunity today to attend that meeting. I feel very relieved, and I'm very excited about moving forward and having the phase 3 done, and the residents really enjoying it, I hope. And I think the big takeaway too is they're very excited about the nano wall and how that's going to be able to connect the inside of the cafe to the outside, and they're doing a really great job. Thank you.
Was Adam on the comments? Yeah. Was Adam there, by the way?
What did you say? I'm sorry, Karen, what did?
I just thanked him. I said,
Oh,
wow,
yeah,
that was a
great.
lot of great positive comments, great feedback.
Was Adam?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Adam was here today. He didn't make it to the meeting, but he was there after the meeting. So we talked to him. Adam is the one who saved our building on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
From the water damage. So he's been great, super helpful. Couple things. So I had emailed the board minutes from today's meeting, and that those will be in next month's board packet. But just a couple things to highlight. Last week I had sent out an email to the board with an update on the stair trim, and the architect is going with the stair trim that was included in the project, so there's no extra cost. There's a tiny stainless steel trim that separates the wall from the plaster, the limestone plaster look that they're doing. That has to be there to hold the plaster in place, and it's only the width of a key, the tiny width of a key, so you're not even really gonna see it.
It's not they said ringlet, but then there's another name. It starts with S. Schluter, where if you have a tile where they need to have that metal piece to hold the tile in place, and it's just very thin. So when we saw the drawing, you thought maybe it was 4 inches above, or you're not going to see it. So I was explaining.
Yeah, it says 116.
Function, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the architect said the project's turning out beautifully, considering that it's a Swiss watch project with so many pieces that have to go in place. It's going a lot better than it could have been. And then one example, the concrete company they poured all the steps for us inside, and they're taking out the top 3 steps because they weren't up to standard. So they're doing that at no charge for us. They knew that the steps looked incorrect, so they're fixing those for us.
They're doing that on their own.
Yes.
And Steve, and there was a comment, like, Steve was so impressed with PCI Daily because, normally he might pick it out, and they already knew that it wasn't up to their standard of product, that they were replacing it anyways before even Steve had a chance to say what's going on here. So PCI Daily is really fantastic, company working for us. And I think they take pride in this building after they've not only done phase 1, 2, but especially in phase 3. So I,
Yeah, I'm very impressed.
Steve was
with their
very impressed with it.
integrity too.
Yes.
The timeline for the project is a little behind, because of weather. They're trying to install windows this week when it's 15 degrees out. But they're looking at completing the project by the end of March or early April. So if they finish by early April, that's 83 more days to go. Yes, I am counting. So they're looking forward to that. PCI Daily and is very comfortable with the contingency. There's like $50,000 left in the contingency and $100,000 left in their allowances. And so they have a lot of allowances for things that could go awry, and so they're comfortable with that.
When did they start putting in the nano wall?
They're starting the 22nd, which is next week.
Wow.
Next week.
I'd love to watch, just to see how that starts or whatever.
It's all downstairs right now, covered. All the material is here, waiting for them to start installing it.
That was the curtain wall.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's
the
the
nano
curtain.
wall's coming.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
but the curtain wall
The curtain wall.
is, all the material is down there.
Okay, so
And-
the 22nd, what's today? Monday.
Yeah, and another thing too, by talking to Steve and Tyler, they're forward thinking about safety in the library. We talked about the fountain or where the ram's horn is gonna go. And Steve kind of, they're worried about skateboarders. And if that's gonna be a problem, because they, I guess skateboarders like to have challenges and stuff like that. But if we start seeing scuff marks on the cement because of the metal bracket hitting that, he has a system that's elegant that would deter that. But so I thought that was great forward thinking that could come back in. So very impressed.
Great. Whatever happened to, forgive me if you've already mentioned this, but remember how we were talking about that lower, how the points had at that corner where you enter by the book depository, the limestone? Is it all gonna be even? Remember how?
In the front, outside.
Yeah.
In the front door, yes, the sidewall will be the existing concrete. And they have an allowance to texture that to freshen that up.
But I mean, the points, we thought that a kid could hit one of them.
The points are gonna still stay as the regular limestone.
But we added that bottom chunk in, so.
So it will be
So it's
even.
not
Okay.
sticking out.
Yeah, so if you look
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
there will be one of these down here.
So,
Thank you for already.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Did you say 82 days? 83 days.
83.
83. I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
Keeping it up.
That's exciting.
Okay.
Next is new and miscellaneous business, library and science report, by Rebecca. And it's on page 68.
Yes, page 68. So I presented this to the staff at our staff development day in September. And last year, in 2022, when I put it at the staff day, I just slipped it into the board packet, and then I was asked to present it to the library board. So for this year's presentation, I'm going to present that tonight to you. And let's see. Oh, no. Okay, so this has two halves to it. The first half is the ALA, the American Library Association Future Trends Forecast. So they set out 42 trends covering society, technology, education, environment, politics and government, economics, and demographics. And this is available on their website. So I kind of took everything and paraphrased it. So this is coming a lot from their website, but I just want to share a few things that I thought were kind of interesting. So in the society phase, anonymity. And this is important now, I think a lot with younger kids, and anyone who can be anonymous on the internet. When you're anonymous on the internet, you can be a complete jerk. You can say horrible things, have fake names, and it's just, I don't think it's healthy. But but that's something that we need to be aware of. People not acting, with the integrity that comes with showing up with your face and name to things. So that could be educating kids about it, educating adults, and just being careful with how you're acting online. The next one is co-working and co-living. And so this is kind of, I've seen it become more activated here in the library. There's lots of people who are working from home, and they're sick of looking at their house, and they want to go somewhere, and you're a little bit more productive when you're around other people, depending on the person. But there's lots of people that are coming here, taking meetings in our study rooms. They're just studying out in the public. They're meeting with other people just to get a change of scenery. So that's another important way that the library could be helpful for their lives. And then collective impact. I attended a library conference last October, and the director from the Traverse Area District Library talked about this. And they were having a problem with behavior in their library, and people in their community were using their library as a day shelter, basically, and they were having, 10 or 15 police incidents every day. And she ended up partnering with local churches, local service organizations like the Rotary, Optimist Club. She partnered with a food pantry, some social workers, and they worked together. She said, "This is our problem, I need your help." And so they created a community-wide coalition to help get people support that they needed, and to help with the behavior at the library. So they were treating the whole person, and they were giving them a place to go. And it just helped really improve the situation there. So that's just something where all of these nonprofits and the library and government organizations, we're all doing special things, but when you work together, you can do a bigger special thing. So that's just something to keep in mind here. We're seeing a lot with fandoms. So basically, we had an event this summer with our teens, Dungeons and Dragons program. We had people, dressing up, Ted Lasso coming for a soccer game to watch the World Cup final here. Any kind of interest, Disney, so it's, we're seeing that, and how can we leverage that in our events here. And then continuing with society, privacy shifting. Libraries really value privacy and not sharing your information with patrons. But as everyone who's got a phone here knows, every time you download an app, you're approving the terms of service. No one ever reads, very few people read that, but you're just giving these corporations your private information. They can track you. So just educating people on what is going to happen if you keep doing that. Your whole world is online. They know where you are right now. They know how long you've been in here, you paid for parking, what kind of car you have, it's all that information is in the apps and in your phone, and you're sharing that. The next one is short reading. I'm guilty of this. How many people, you see a long article and it's like, I'll just read the summary, So our attention span is getting lesser. So that's something that we have to be careful with, making sure that our information is short and to the point, that we've got small blurbs, that we're not having a large wall of text that you have to read. So that's something to keep in mind. Subscription boxes, we're doing this, and we're having great success with our books unboxed and our books unshelved. So that's where we're getting a custom book for someone, and then we're getting some extra goodies every month. So we've got a dedicated fan base for that. The next one is technology. The first is artificial intelligence. So a couple of things that we're doing at the library here. Bart, our technology trainer, is teaching classes on AI. And we're forming an internal committee to talk about how we can use AI at the library. I just used AI today. We're working on our Learn, Connect, Discover newsletter. I'm horrible at writing titles, so I plugged in my director's letter and I was like, write a couple titles for this. So AI generated 10 titles and I picked my favorite and tweaked it a little bit. So that's something, you know, that everyone can use, but you need to use it carefully. And then the next one is data everywhere. So we have so much data that we can pull. We've got census data, surveys that we can gather. We have all the checkout statistics, the popular materials here. We just need to make sure that we're using it to get the information that we need for the projects that we're working on. Next one, haptic technology. If you've ever used your phone and you get a notification and it vibrates, or, you know, I on my phone, I pay with Apple Pay, it kind of like shakes a little bit. It's anything that's moving when you're touching it. So people can use, people with disabilities can use this. Another way with that is at a Disney ride, you know, your seat might be shaking, you might be getting sprayed with water or something, or hearing noise in your ears. So it's tracking your movement, and it's helping you be more immersed in the subject. It's great for people with disabilities, visual or audio disabilities, and then it's also going to be used more for online or distance education. So you get people involved and more like they're feeling it. It's they may be at home by themselves, but they're feeling immersed in it. It's hard to describe. Jeff heard about this. He's like, "Oh, I've got so many great ideas for that." So it's one of those things.
I just did a training on Virgin Voyages and they have shake for champagne. So you shake your phone while you have the app open and then they bring you champagne wherever you are on the ship.
Yeah. I don't know what you did at the library, but
Should get for a book, right?
yeah. The next one, robots here. Our book sorting machine is like a very simplified robot where it's checking in the book as you put it in the slots. But having more robots might take away some jobs. I know it has an auto industry and the working on the line. Some of those are all automated now.
To chime in, technology companies just laid off 7,500 workers because of AI. You know,
Yeah.
Got rid of their translators.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's happening in the technology area. It's scary. And I heard that there's an AI autonomous McDonald's in California that not one person works there to make
Yeah.
the food.
Yeah.
So I didn't mean to get her up,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Yeah.
it's happened
Right.
fast.
Yeah. When we were talking about the cafe last year, Kristen was, I don't remember the name, but it was something from the 60s, like an automat.
I used to in New York, you'd go, it was so cool, and you put in, and there was the sandwich right there, or whatever.
So automatic something, it started with an H, doesn't it?
Horn and hard.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
It was
mean,
very cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, the next one, unplugs. We are a place where you can go where you're not gonna see screens everywhere. You can come in, it's quiet, and, you know, and enjoy that place to get away from technology. We've noticed in the youth room, we don't have the tablets in there or the computers, and kids are just having fun playing around. They do, migrate towards the play table, which is electronic, but a lot of people are just, you know, reading books and playing with some of our toys. So virtual reality, this is great if you put, you put the headpiece on and then you can walk around in a space. I was thinking that it would be nice for people who are uncomfortable asking for directions and just kind of want to walk around without feeling awkward. You know, if you have a library tour, you could take the tour from home, walk around the building, find what you need. If you're the kind of person that doesn't want to talk to anyone, or you feel uncomfortable until you know the layout of an area, that would be an option there. And then voice controls. With your phone, you can do this now. You can send messages. You can ask, Alexa to do things. All those are popular too. So we can see those coming more in the library also. Education, badging, we have our, summer reading program. It's called Beanstack, and we use that for badges. And that's always kind of fun, to collect or cross something off. So it just gives you an extra level of motivation, oh, you've got like one more, why don't you just do that last thing, so it's just something to keep you engaged. And then connected learning, we have so many things that you can connect to here, it's like unlimited. So just leveraging that to get people connected to the right thing, whether it's, adults just wanting free reading or students actually working on a project, people learning. We've got lots in that way. Design thinking always kind of gives me a headache, and I was trying to figure out how to describe it, and I can't. But it's several areas. So it starts with empathizing with someone. So you've got this problem. How does it make you feel? What happens? So you kind of empathize with them, and then you define what problem that they're having that they want to fix. You ideate, so you kind of come up with some solutions to the problem. You build a prototype to fix the problem, and then you test the problem. So it's not starting with, oh, I designed this special speaker. You're like, oh, you start with the problem, you start in the opposite direction. So there's some libraries that are working on that. I know the Canton Library is, so they're doing that as they design their space. But as I said, that one gives me a headache. And then gamification, Robert just mentioned Duolingo, but that's an app to learn a language. And they suck you in, like get a streak, just do one more lesson, you'll get this extra point, and you can like, you'll get into the next level. Are you sure you want to stop? Like, keep going. Look how many words you've learned. Like, it just drags you in. But it's also fun to learn that way because, you can look at your progress and you can see your streaks and things that way. And then the next one is environment, and this is resilience. And so I think that libraries, Baldwin today looks way different than it did 10 years ago, and 10 years from now, it's gonna look more different than it does today. We adapted during the pandemic. We adapt to community needs. If someone tells us that we need something, or we're doing something, or they want us to do something different, we can always do that. Add in new programs and respond to requests that way. And then politics and government, corporate influence. This is something, when the Ukraine war started, we looked at our investments and we took investments away from Russia. So we made sure that we weren't investing in Russian companies in our stock market. But this is just looking at politics and the public sphere and making sure that we're investing in companies that are ethical companies, doing good. And then smart cities. I mentioned your phone and your phone knowing where you are. Google has sensors on your phones now. So when you go to our website, when you search Baldwin Public Library, it's going to tell you the popular days and popular times. So you can kind of gauge your visit by the times that, if you want to go when it's busy, or if you want to go when it's not busy. So that's something that we can keep track of there. And then worker activism. They're saying, and I'm seeing, millennials don't want to work for, the man. They want to work for a company that is doing good in the world, that matches their values and their ethics. And so you're seeing people working and wanting to find meaning in their work. And then also, we're seeing it in libraries a lot. There's a lot of employee organizing, unions forming, and so wanting a better work-life balance and better, they want more from management and from the leaders at their library. The next one, economics, basic income. So if in a pipe dream, if everyone earned the same amount of money and you didn't have to worry about where your paycheck came from, what would you do with your time? Would you learn a new hobby? Would you work to get more money? Would you would you go to school for another career? You know, is this the job you really want? So you kind of, you know, just imagining, you know, what your life would look like if money were no option, really. And then income inequality. We see this as a library. There are people here experiencing homelessness, and there are people here who are, you know, billionaires that come and use the building, and everyone in between, and we can offer something for every one of those people. So that's, I always say that libraries are the great equalizer, and that's something that is important to me. And then the sharing economy. We're debuting a library of things in April when we open up the front entrance. But this is just, the library is the ultimate sharing economy. You know, if you can't afford a book, you can come and use it here. And we'll, you know, the computers, and then we'll be offering more in the library of things. And then demographics. So aging advances. So we're seeing this as the baby boomers start getting older, that we're gonna need to offer different creative programming for seniors. So memory care programs, support groups, different types of learning opportunities, all of those. And then digital natives, this always cracks me up, because, well, when you see, we've got catalog stations around the library, and it's a catalog with a screen and a mouse, and you see an adult run up and they automatically grab the mouse. Anyone under 10, they start like touching the screen, and then they're like, oh, this isn't a touch screen. How does it work? So, you know, so that's, we're gonna see all those different levels of technology used with our patrons here. And then the last one, emerging adulthood. Finding programs for the 17 to 25-year-old crowd. So as they're leaving high school and they're in college and early adulthood, that's something to pay attention to. The next half are other trends that I just poked around and found. Book challenges still on here. This is always my favorite graphic. And I think is so important about book challenges and people who want to remove books from the library. I don't want my children to read this book. That book doesn't belong in the library. That book doesn't belong in my home. I should read and discuss this book with my family instead of complain about it. So it's just, we want to offer everything for everyone, and we want you to find things that you like here. And there are going to be things here that you disagree with. There's things I disagree with in the library, but I want everyone to be able to have access to them. And then we're seeing Illinois pass their first law against book bans. The state of Michigan is working on legislation for this too, so that's coming in the next few months. They are going to have a full-on push when they're ready to have that legislation go out. So I'll keep you posted when I find out more for the exact date for that. But the Library of Michigan's working on that, which is exciting. And then the next one is versatility. Creating a space that can be used for lots of different things. I think we've done a good job of that in the Graham's Discovery Room. We've got tables that we can come in and out, carpets we can roll out, messy floor in case we need to make a mess, paint, do anything like that. And then the new cafe space too will be, we can modular furniture, we can set it up for a concert, we can open up the wall for outdoor events too. So
What was the first space you mentioned?
Graham's Discovery Room, it's the story room in the youth room,
okay.
yeah, with the blue floor.
Yeah.
And then digital inclusion. So this is making sure that we offer access and training to people who may be low, have low knowledge and low skills with digital items here. And then partnering with other organizations to do some special trainings. And then this is another interesting one that we've kind of seen with, I'm going to knock on wood, the disasters that we have had. Last winter, offering the library as a shelter when there was widespread power outages. water disaster, having outdoor Wi-Fi. So we've had people that have come up, parked their car out front when they need to use Wi-Fi after hours, shade outside if it's too hot in the summer, and the library's closed, but they can still sit under a shade tree or, and then outdoor power, outdoor Wi-Fi. So that's something that I think is gonna be used, more in the future, unfortunately. And then this one is really interesting, food and shelter. So library is a community resource. So libraries are offering, in the UK, libraries are offering food pantries and community refrigerators. There's FDA safety issues around this, but, offering, if you've got a garden at home and you have too much zucchini, sticking zucchini in for other people to take, examples like that. There is a library in the Lansing area that they have a little free pantry. So they're offering non-perishable items that they can put out for people. And then a little free, we'll call it sundries. So they've got like toilet paper, deodorant, hygiene supplies in there that people can stop by and take if they're having financial issues. This will be my ongoing goal until it ever happens, but I would love for the library to have one login where you can either catalog, download your ebooks, see the databases, register for a program, register for summer reading, and you don't have to sign in to everything. I cannot handle any more passwords in my life, so I'm sure you all feel the same way. And then I'll end with ways to protect your local public library. Use it well, encourage other people to use it, be aware of what's happening in your community and at school and public libraries, pay attention to municipal budgets, and support the local library's advocacy and fundraising. And I will say, I said this to staff last fall, we had the long-range planning meeting last January 23, and then the budget hearing, April 23. There were no members of the public that showed up to that. So it was all city staff members talking to the commissioners and no members of the public. No one is engaged with that. And that is your taxpayer dollars. It's important to be involved with that. And I did check in. The budget hearing is on April 27th, Saturday morning. So it starts, your local spending and how the city is operating starts with you attending commission meetings, library board meetings. So it's important to be involved that way. And that's it.
Thank you.
Great job.
Yeah. Rebecca,
Yeah.
I read someplace that there, and I'm sure it's here someplace, but that there, people want digital materials. We know that for sure. Digital books, audiobooks and stuff, and it's so expensive. What can we do to address that here? Is there anything? Because like people are buying books because they don't want to wait for 6 weeks or, even with the consortium.
Yes, I would say that the Baldwin is very well equipped. We have a large budget for books and online ebooks too, compared to other libraries. Some libraries have a $10,000 budget for ebooks. Ours is over $300,000. So we are able to buy a lot. And then we also have, we call them holds ratios. So if there's, and it depends on the library. So if there's 100 people on hold for a book, our holds ratios, I think it's 3 to 1. So if that's, we're gonna buy 30 copies of the book to satisfy that. And we do that the same with ebooks. But yes, it's hard to meet demand, especially when demand right now is a click away and $10 for a Kindle book. Not everyone has that, but
Right.
Yeah.
Any other new business items? And I don't think there's any unfinished business. And there are no items to move from the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, okay.
Special meeting of the library board will take place on Thursday, January 18th, tomorrow at 7 in the Jean Lloyd Room. And the next regular meeting of the library board will take place on Monday, February 26th. Robert, could you read a roll call vote for adjournment?
Rock,
Yes.
Rumble,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Pizzano.
Yes.
Wheeler.
Yes.
Okay. Meeting's adjourned. Now we'll move on to the trust meeting. The Baldwin Public Library Trust Meeting, meeting in the last board room on Wednesday, January 17th. Do we have a roll call?
Karen Rock.
Here.
Danielle Rumpel.
Here.
Missy Mark.
Here.
Wendy Friedman.
Here.
Frank Pizzano.
Here.
Jenny Wheeler.
Here.
Thanks, Robert. Our first order of business is the general public comment period. The library board values public meetings and welcomes your comments on library issues. The board respectfully asks that comments be made as concisely as possible. We welcome your comments, but will not debate items not on the agenda. The maximum time for individual speakers should not exceed 3 minutes. Are there any general public comments?
Thanks for inviting me, say.
Our next order of business is the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion and approved by a roll call vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless a board member or a citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered as the last item under new business. So on the consent agenda, there's approval of the December 18th, 2023 minutes, acceptance of the December 2023 receipts of $3,410.62, and approval of the December 2023 disbursements of $2,360.69. Is there any member of the board who would like to remove an item from the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Robert, could you please do a roll call vote?
Rock,
Yes.
Rumble,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Pizzano.
Yes.
Wheeler.
Yes.
All you.
New and miscellaneous business. Is there any new and miscellaneous business?
I'll just make a brief comment on the Baldwin Public Trust performance last year. It did drastically underperform the S&P 500. It might be time to have our consultant come in and maybe talk to the finance committee meeting, maybe February or March. I know one of the main things is why we didn't do as well as the S&P and really growth. The NASDAQ did very well last year, is that we did get a little bit more conservative after the 2022 year where it was very volatile in those sectors, and we had a lot of money in technology, and we moved that into more value orientated investments, and those didn't do as well last year. Those are companies with large moats around them that just didn't grow as much, and you really saw 7 stocks really lead the market last year. And even though we owned a little bit of them, we did take our allocation down from the volatility from 22 to get a little bit more defensive, which could prevail this year from the recent run up from some of those growth stocks. But I think to have Ron come in, or not Ron, but our Jim come in and maybe just discuss what he thinks is going forward, and you have a better update. 10%, 9.8 is not bad, but when, the S&P is up, 24 and the NASDAQ up considerably more, it might need to be addressed.
Okay. Thanks. Any other new business? The next trustee meeting will be held immediately following the next regular meeting of the Baldwin Public Library Board of Directors on Monday, February 26th, 2024. And we need to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Robert, would you please call a roll call vote?
Rock,
Yes.
Rumble,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Friedman.
Yes.
Pizzano.
Yes.
Wheeler.
Yes.
All you.
Thank you.
Adjourned.
Adjourned. Thank